every time I turn around. Hey, everybody, I'm back. I've magically appeared during the show. Y'all were having was there a caller, I guess?
Yeah,
Yes,
we had a
couple,
caller,
yes.
and we were talking about opportunistic bacteria coming in on a viral infection, and that's where we left off. And then we, during the break, Dr. Creig and I started talking about there's things you can do to preempt a lot of this. I know they're using zinc as something to preempt what's going on, but I mean, vitamin C, echinacea, lots of fluids, activity. There are a lot of things you can do.
But a lot of doctors prescribe antibiotics for viral infections.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And that creates the opportunity for a resistant organism to take place. And so, but there are patients who have their expectations when they walk into the
gotta get a
office.
pill.
They got to give a prescription for what they did. And the sad truth is that if I prescribed you nothing in a placebo, it probably would get better on its own, because most people wait. Well, some people don't want to wait, but if you call your doctor and you can't get in 3 days, chances are you're on the downhill slide anyway. So what he does is he gives you a prescription and then reinforces that it works, because within 3 days you were going to get better anyway. So I don't, it's, and people out there need to be aware, take as little antibiotic as you need to get.
No question.
Yeah, I only use 3 days worth on most
That's what I do.
simple respiratory infections, because I mean, most of the time and the truth is bacteria, bubble boys, right? Right? It doesn't matter. I could literally marinate you in quinolones or all the antibiotics in the world, but if you don't have an intact immune system, guess what?
It don't work.
You're not going to kill anything.
We got Amy.
Oh, Amy's on the phone. Amy.
Hi.
Hi.
I heard the calls about whatever's going around, and it reminded me. I've been in around Nye County, southern Nye County, for well over 30 years. And back in the day, we had doctors that were from around here that were really knowledgeable about this environment, and they knew of a thing they used to call valley fever.
Yeah.
And it was explained to me by a doctor here one time years ago. The valley fever is in the poof dirt that we have here, and when it's really windy, it stirs that dirt up, and this bacteria that's in the dirt is what gives people all these upper respiratory infections. So you might watch what the weather's like when you get these complaints, and maybe there's something to that.
Well, valley fever is coccidiomycosis from the San Joaquin Valley, and it's a type of bacteria, I don't know, it's really a bacterial infection, but it's really endemic to that area, and I mean, I see people that have had it in that area, and for some individuals, it's a very difficult infection. It scars their lung. They get a lot of interstitial fibrosis as a result of that. I mean, it's a pretty
Takes years.
Yeah, it's a pretty nasty infection. Although this town, in my experience, is that you got a lot of retired people, a lot of smokers, and what is interesting about this area is that poof dirt. The talc, we have this fine sediment that comes down, washes down from the valley, right? We're in the valley floor. So the dirt here is really, really fine. And that's why when they build a house, they have to dig it down like, 3 feet and put this type 2 base on it, because if you don't, that dirt swells and it cracks every foundation. And there were a couple of houses, I don't know, they've since been going down, but they were kind of really interesting to look at. You drive by and the whole house would be like,
Oh, no kidding.
oh yeah. And so, and that's what I see a lot of. In fact, when I would go to the Harvest Festival, I haven't been to the Harvest Festival in years, because people trample on that dirt. And if you look over the Harvest Festival, you'll just see this cloud, this brown cloud.
Really?
And it's not pollution, it's poof dirt. And every time I went there, I started hacking and wheezing. That stuff's really nasty.
That's what I was talking about. Now, poof dirt is like a fine powder when it's dry. But when it's wet, you'll sink up to your knees in it, and then it hardens up again like caliche. If you put your hands over poof dirt and scramble around in it, you think you found a base. But when that gets wet, you'll sink into it like quicksand.
Sure.
But they said it was a mold in that dirt. from it getting wet and drying the way that it does, and then blowing around when the wind blows. And I know about the valley fever you're talking about in Arizona. But yeah, maybe the weather does have something to do with it. You never know.
Yeah. Well, we do live in a valley, and you know, but I think every valley has its own little endemic, you know, its own type of flora of plants and things like that cause issues. And unfortunately, really, you know, the desert really is an arid, lifeless area, and here, as people settle the area, they're putting in grass, they're putting in trees, they're putting in stuff that normally is not indigenous to the area, and create some other allergy problems that haven't been the case in the past. So Bermuda grass, things of that nature, you know, people growing that stuff that naturally wouldn't grow here. So you get the allergies that you shouldn't, and then you get the allergies that you should. So it can be a real tough place to, well, nothing should grow here.
Not much. And don't you think that some of that is direct irritation of the airways that has nothing to do with infection?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
I took a ride out from 160 out to Ash Meadows yesterday on my bicycle and back, 3 or 4 hours out amongst the hills, which is wonderful. And when I got back, I was coughing with all the stuff that I breathed in.
Yeah.
You really notice it.
That's it. You're living life on the edge riding a bicycle in this town. You know that, don't you?
I know, but it's fun. 95% of people are mighty good.
Just make sure you have one of those little helmets.
I've got Dr. Reiner on the back, and everybody leaves me alone.
You have no idea how many people I've treated that have been hit on bikes.
Well, I think, you know, it's just, there's no shoulder on the roads. There's really very little exit.
There's some, not much.
Yeah, there's very little exit for you, and that's the thing, is giving yourself, because people now, I mean, I'm just going to throw this out there, and you probably know this, you're just driving, walking along, and how many people are in their cars texting and driving at the same time?
Yeah.
I
I got missed just a week ago. I probably wasn't 3 inches. So yeah, it's dangerous. People need to watch, and clearly they're not.
Yeah, they're not, and there's no way that you can negotiate that. But I mean, it's an interesting ride. What I would do is ride my car out to a certain point, and then take my bike and ride back where it's really not really traveled very well. So
We have Steve on the line. Hello, Steve.
Hello. My question is, I've been seeing a physical therapist for arthritis in my back, and it seems like the stretching machine works the best, and like the TINS, is it called TINS machine?
Yes.
Seems to work good. And actually, I got multiple questions. Is what's the difference between the physical therapist and chiropractic care? And we'll start for there, see what happens.
Well, as a chiropractor, we're licensed and we do everything that a physical therapist can do. Plus, we can manipulate. We can actually adjust the articulations to increase the mobility. Arthritis is the body's process of trying to shore things up, and a lot of times, you know, that interferes with your flexibility. It interferes with, you know, your mobility. It interferes with a lot of things. You go to move and you have pain if you go too far. And that's usually because you've got arthritis and the joints kind of binding into itself. So we're licensed, we're qualified to do everything and anything that a physical therapist does. Plus we're licensed to go ahead and manipulate in our articulation and mobilize that.
Okay, maybe I need to see if I can get. I'm on. I think I got Humana. I'm going to have to see if I can maybe get chiropractic care also. And another question I have for you is, I go on an upside down machine. I bought an upside down machine at the house. I go on that for about 5 minutes a day because I don't want to go more, because someone told me it's bad for my heart. You know about that?
How many degrees are you tilting? Are you going You know, you going 45, 50, 60 degrees, or you going?
I'm going about maybe like about 60 degrees.
Yeah, 60 degrees. You're still in a safe zone. How old are you?
I'm 65.
So you still got to worry about strokes. You got to worry about, you know, stuff like that. And as long as you start out, maybe, you know, you start out real slow, do 30 seconds, move it up to 45, move it up to a minute. As long as you're doing that, don't get on it and go 10 minutes. 20
I don't think
minutes.
there's, yeah, and I don't
I'm
know
not doing that. I do maybe 5 minutes at the max.
Okay.
I don't know, and I don't know if there's any distinct advantage between being at this angle 60 degrees or being at, you know, 15 to 20 degrees.
It's more traction. All
More
it is
traction.
the gravity
Sure.
and more traction on
But
it.
you're safer at a lower angle
you're
for a longer
safe.
period of time.
Yeah,
You're going to
you
get
can.
the same effect.
Yeah.
So it would behoove Steve to probably be at 15 degrees, 20 degrees for maybe 7 or 8 minutes as opposed to being at 60 degrees for that 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
he would take less risk of increasing all the pressure. The problem is your heart, you know, works and there's a zone of, here's what I think what people don't necessarily understand about heart and lungs is that the lung being a column up and down, it has 3 zones. It has a zone at the base, which has got a lot of blood but very little air. It's got a zone in the middle, which has air and blood, and a zone at the top, which has air. So when you upside down yourself, you basically reverse those fields.
Yep.
Okay, and your body has to adjust, and your heart has to adjust to those new zones of variation. So if for some reason you've got carotid disease or you've got anything else and you don't adjust quick enough, that might be a problem for low oxygen, might be getting dizzy, you know, even affect any cerebral aneurysms that might be there, increasing those, risk of bleed. So, Steve, if I were you, I would basically reduce my angle, but prolong my time.
And that's effective
Okay.
too, Steve.
How about that TENS machine? Do you know if Medicare would cover a good one? I know I took a picture of the TENS machine over at the where I do my physical therapy, and one costs $1,000 and one costs $3,800 if you had to buy it. It seems like the TENS machine kind of works the best for that lower back.
Well, and what it's doing is it's increasing the blood flow into the area, which is flushing out the bradykinins, flushing out, you know, the debris in the blood that's helping to cause the pain, the inflammation. You got to be real careful with those muscle stems too, because you can ruin your day with one of those also, Steve.
Hey, Steve, we got to go to a break, and then we'll come back. You either hang on the line or we'll pick that up, and you can listen. So,
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Steve.
Steve. We'll be right back.